Ndms stands for the National Disaster Medical System. It's a larger organization that is designed to support disaster and emergency situations.
The Ndms exercise gives us an opportunity to practice what the Federal Coordinating Center is supposed to be doing, and that is receiving patients from a disaster area, far distant, and put them into the community hospitals that are here partnered with us.
What is required for something like this is the participation from several volunteer agencies for this exercise. We are, at this point, including approximately 8 hospitals in our community, as well as over 30 volunteer agencies that actually are making this event happen. What we're doing this year that's going to be different from previous years is the focus is not about the actual emergency. The focus is after that, a phase later where we are receiving patients that are likely already treated and triaged.
We decided not to use a scenario because regardless of the event type, we're going to be spinning up operations to receive patients from another destination disaster zone. So those patients would be transferred from that disaster site to the patient reception area where they would be regulated by the clinical staff, the patient assessment team, as well as other regulators to make sure they get to the appropriate level of care facility in our local jurisdiction community.
We're taking the patients that are in the hospital where the disaster is located so that they have room for their patients. So that's why we say that it is not a particular disaster that we're dealing with.
This team is very robust, and we have a good handle on the general procedures of how the operation performs.
We'll have another military aircraft, C-17, that will arrive with patients from our Civil Air Patrol partners. There'll be patient players, and then what they'll bring us is approximately 45 patients, and we will flow them through our patient reception area and on to definitive medical care.
This area, if we are in the non-impacted zone, would be ideal for receiving patients who are stable enough to transport due to the robust hospital system that we have with our partners such as Spartanburg Regional, Mary Black, St. Francis, Shriners Hospital, and also Greenville Hospital System.
Every year we try to get a little bit better and a little bit different with the training that we provide. This year we're going to try to experiment, so to speak, with new equipment that we have. Another thing that we're looking at and trying to work out is essentially how much does all of the support that we receive, how much does that actually cost us?
The defense role here is we're in a supporting effort. So the state would ask for federal assistance, federal then would decide which federal agency would support. In this case, the exercise, we have Department of Defense. So Department of Defense spends its money to support the exercise, and then we have to capture the cost because then we have to go seek reimbursement from FEMA.
We need to put a dollar value on those assets so that we can project and be able to compensate our partners, not just a handshake and a smile. We want to be able to figure out what the total cost of their support is so we can better manage the funds that we're receiving and be able to best ensure they get taken care of.
We have a requirement to do exercises every 2 years, one major exercise. What makes Columbia unique is they do one every single year.
We never know when the emergency is going to hit, so we always want to be prepared at all times, and part of that preparedness is training.
In the military, we like to say that we train as we fight and then we fight as we train. And this feeds right back into that aspect. If our partners are ready to perform, then we're much better off and can better serve the community.
It's necessary to repeat these exercises on a regular basis to hone skills, practice them, share face-to-face interaction between agencies to help build those relationships where things work smoothly.
What we want to do is bring together the information in communications, command and control. Our objectives are in that direction.
We have different groups that can do different things and multiple layers of that. In the event that any one of us can't participate, we have somebody else to cover down.
It's not just the military, it's not just the civilian sector side of the house, but it's more of a team effort.
We rely heavily on our community partners. There's very little military presence here, and that's the way it's supposed to be in the NDMS system. It is designed to be a joint partnership between the civilian community and the military, because we can provide certain things that the civilian community can't, and they definitely can provide things that we're unable to as well.
Practicing this type of exercise gives each leg of the operation, each agency that's part of it, a chance to practice those skills and practice that handoff and coordination with the next agency in line.
Spartanburg Regional Healthcare System's Hospital Emergency Response Team is slotted to be the primary clinical team with support from the DoD U.S. Army Medical Detachment out of Moncrief, out of Columbia, South Carolina. Those two teams combine as one unified team to treat these patients, and again, make sure that they've met that category for patient collection and get to the destination of choice in the local jurisdiction and community.
The IMT's role in this operation is to help coordinate the activities of the Army, National Guard, those resources, and the local agencies, help coordinate, make those work together, and provide for the logistics for the personnel working on this site.
The State Guard in this has several roles in this exercise. My unit is tasked primarily with providing security at the gate to keep traffic through the tarmac to a minimum, as well as protecting life safety and redirecting traffic to more effectively load ambulances. In addition, we have elements from the Medical Corps who are going to help with clinical duties, and elements from the aviation team who will be assisting with landing and directing the aircraft and traffic flow to and from the tarmac.
There is no health without mental health. And just because of the nature of disaster and disaster response, and because of pre-existing conditions, it's important for people to know that 1 out of 5 adults has got a pre-existing mental health condition already. So you add on to that the stressors and the anxiety associated with a disaster, you're going to have folks who've got emotional issues.
The role that DHEC's playing in this exercise is we're providing the medical structures, the portable medical structures, SCMed 1 and 2, which are both 50-bed portable hospitals, and then the communications network as well. We're providing 2 communications trailers that are going to cast a Wi-Fi cloud over the event site, as well as provide landline telephone through a broadband satellite link.
We're introducing the concept of possibly having patients with service animals, and how do we as a large group handle that?
What we found is that there's a need for an animal response, and a lot of times in the past it's been overlooked or kind of an afterthought. So we're trying to make it so that we take away or help alleviate people's fears or concerns if they're responding to a disaster or they're in a disaster themselves, that their animals will be taken care of.
We've been asked as a partner through NDMS to provide feeding for the folks that are here participating in the exercise, and then if it was a real an incident, we would actually be able to be there and provide food for the responders that are working so hard and providing the care that's needed. Every disaster begins and ends locally, so we want those locals who know the community, that know the other responders, that are working with them on a day-to-day basis. That's why it's important. I'm just here to support them and what they need.
With this particular exercise, we're just in the support configuration. We were asked to come out here and provide snacks and water and Gatorade for all the people that are actually working in the exercise, and just to give them any type of support they need.
Spartanburg Regional Healthcare System's Emergency Response Team works with the DoD, the Department of Defense, U.S. Army out of Moncrief, South Carolina, and Columbia to help regulate these patients. So the clinical team fuses together the civilian sector as well as the military, and we kind of work as one unified team to take care of those patients, making sure that they're still stable and can get them to the other locations. Once the patients arrive off of the tarmac from the aircraft, then the patient reception team, who are clinically based, will take those patients, receive them, make sure that they're still the same status they were when they left their destination, and then we transfer them, regulate them with the help of JPATs to make sure those patients get to the destination that they were so designed initially.
JPAT stands for Joint Patient Assessment and Tracking System, and what it provides is it provides a unified way to track the patient from the point that they enter the National Disaster Medical System So because it's internet based, so once the patient leaves wherever they're coming from and their input into JPATS, we're able to track that patient from location to location all the way back to the place where they left from. Not only does it track the patient, but it also tracks a non-medical attendant. So say for instance, if we have a child or someone that can't travel by themselves, we also have that patient and their non-medical attendant both inside of JPATS.
You know, the federal government doesn't quite understand every day at the local footprint the operational components. So bringing those folks in to work with the local jurisdictions makes for a much smoother operation and a better outcome for our patients ultimately, so they get the continuum of care that they require from a disaster site to a destination site such as the Spartan or Greenville area.
Specifically, what we're going to do is coordinate with the care area and the transportation units that are going to actually do the transport of the patient. We're going to be tasked with putting the right patient with the right transport truck, sending them to the right facility, all the while tracking that patient from the time of contact to the time that they've arrived at the hospital.
It's very exciting to see this level of community support. You very rarely see this in an exercise even of this size and capacity, that you would have this many community partners actively engaged in the process.